Target Trading Academy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Preston Vogl here at Target Trading Academy with today's Micros Market Recap. It is Wednesday, August 9th at the close, or just after the close in New York here. Oil opening gap up from that close and range from yesterday. And we just had sideways movement initially, and then they started climbing. Got a couple trending entries that presented for our students. Then ultimately they had a round trip. If you don't know what a round trip is, it means that you've overtaken those prior lows that were set in and had been there for a while. And it can happen with highs as well, but in this case it was a round trip for the lows. They had a little response off of it, retraced, and then they came down, hit that contract high, and then they just shot up again. So they didn't want to take it down. They're just driving this market up. So we are closing that positive in oil. As far as gold goes, well, gold, we opened ever so slightly gap down, and they went right to the close, and then they fought this edge a couple times before the sellers took hold of gold and just drove it down. So we are finishing net down in that market as well, and you can see the response at these HVA edges, how well they held, even from yesterday's and then overnights and such. So if that is something that it interests you, just keep in mind that they were drawn the night before. So as far as our equities go, we actually opened in balance inside that range, but above the close relatively, depending on the market. Uh, Not terribly far, I would say. Stone's throw, if you could, even compare that. But it wasn't terribly far, but it was at that range high, nonetheless. But it was in balance, and it got to that close. And you know what? They said, let's just keep driving this down. But before that, they had some response at those HVA edges. You can see how well they responded there. And they just kept driving it down, giving us some opportunities to go with that move. And then ultimately they said no more. They put the brakes on here at the 4482 area. And that's when they started that ascension once more from, not once more, but on the day. And you can see that, the beginning of the day was just selling. And then at the end of the day, it was buying, and then all of a sudden, those last few minutes, last 40 minutes or so, the rug was pulled right out underneath them, and then just kept coming down again and almost challenged those lows once more in the ES. So, needless to say, we are finishing net down in that market as well. It's going to be a very similar story in the NASDAQ, opening just above its close, inside of its range, and then they just kept coming down, seeing support at those HVA edges, right? And then they turned into resistance, as you can see here. Remember, these are drawn the night before, and they just kept going down with that move and drove it down past even the what was that, Friday's low? What day is it? No, that was yesterday's low. Even past yesterday's low, and then some. And then as just what we saw in the ES, they turn it around. They hit it twice though in the Nasdaq before they made that turn, unlike the ES where they just had that rounding turn and then drove it back up and started that ascension. But Nasdaq, very similar. You can see the response at these levels once more, and then much like the ES, they had that nosedive towards the end. Boom, that you can see. So we are finishing net down in Nasdaq, ES, and gold, and positive in oil. If you are interested in learning more information about the futures markets, about the methodology that we teach in our rooms each day and every day, and how you can get these levels onto your charts the night before the next day's trading activity, feel free to reach out to us. We are Target Trading Academy. You can find us on Facebook or go to our website at targettrading.co. Get in touch with a consultant at either one of those locations. They'll gladly show you what we do in our rooms each and every day, and you'll be able to see for yourself why we are the number one trading education company in the world. We look forward to seeing you there.